brought to you by Pull Cafe Wood Roasted Coffee. Taste the history at pullcafe.com. At the dawn of the 20th century, Milanese cafes faced a growing challenge. A rapidly industrializing city demanded speed, yet brewing coffee still meant waiting for large communal pots to stew. Patrons wanted their coffee fresh, hot, and prepared just for them without the delay. In June 1901, a Milanese mechanic named Luigi Bezzera designed a solution, filing a patent for machinery to prepare and immediately serve coffee beverages. Granted on June 5, 1902, Bezzera's machine used steam pressure to force water directly through a tightly packed coffee puck. Crucially, his design introduced a removable, bayonet-style coffee holder, what we now call the portafilter. This mechanism allowed baristas to load, lock, and exchange measured portions of coffee in seconds, establishing the mechanical foundation of rapid, individualized espresso service. In 1903, an entrepreneur named Desiderio Pavoni purchased Bezzera's patent rights. Pavoni understood that a brilliant invention needed to work reliably in a busy cafe. His role was not to reinvent the machine, but to make it a practical commercial tool. He immediately tackled the safety hazards of the prototype. To stop hot coffee from spraying baristas when they unlocked the portafilter, Pavoni added a spring-loaded pressure release valve to vent excess steam safely. Next, he added a dedicated steam wand, allowing operators to use residual boiler steam to froth milk. By 1905, these practical refinements came together in the Ideale, the first commercial espresso machine, which began daily production in a small Milan workshop. At the National Fair, Pavoni introduced the public to Caffè Espresso, a term meaning coffee prepared expressly for the customer on the spot. While a major commercial milestone, this early beverage differed greatly from the modern style. The Ideale relied entirely on steam from a single boiler, which served as both the heat source and the driving force. At just 1.5 to 2 bars of pressure, the near-boiling water scorched the grounds. This produced a hot, bitter, larger-bodied drink with a thin, unstable foam that quickly dissolved, leaving the problem of extraction pressure completely unresolved. Achille Gaggia, a Milanese barista and inventor, spent years working behind cafe counters, observing how steam-driven machines scorched coffee grounds. He realized that brewing required pressure completely separate from the boiler's heating function. In September 1938, Gaggia patented his Lampo group head, which used hot water pressure instead of steam to extract the coffee. This mechanism served as the direct precursor to his post-war design. In 1947, he patented a mechanical spring-piston system that separated the water heating boiler from the physical force needed for extraction. Gaggia introduced this technology to the public with the 1948 Gaggia Classica, the first commercial model of its kind. By installing the Classica in busy Milanese cafes, Gaggia brought high-pressure brewing into daily commercial use, permanently changing how coffee was prepared. Inside the mechanical heart of this system, pressure is split. Earlier machines relied on a single boiler pressurized to just 1.5 to 2 bar, meaning the entire machine operated under low uniform pressure. Gaggia's design kept the boiler itself at this lower pressure for safety and steam power, but raised the actual brewing force at the coffee bed to a powerful 8 to 10 bar. Importantly, these two pressure levels describe entirely different locations within the machine. This dramatic physical leap relies on two central components: the group, which is the heavy metal chamber where hot water meets the ground coffee, and the piston, the moving plunger that slides within it. The brewing process unfolds in a precise physical sequence that simple mechanics make easy to follow. When the barista pulls the lever down, the piston rises inside the group. This upward movement opens a passage for hot water to flood from the boiler into the chamber, while simultaneously compressing a heavy steel spring to store mechanical energy. Once the barista releases the lever, the compressed spring uncoils, driving the piston downward. This plunger forces the trapped hot water directly through the packed coffee puck, completing the high-pressure extraction. This pressurized extraction transformed both the beverage and the vocabulary of coffee. As water first met the grounds under low pressure, it allowed for natural pre-infusion, a gentle initial wetting that prepares the coffee bed before the full force of the spring takes over. What followed was a naturally declining pressure curve, an early form of pressure profiling where the extraction force tapered off as the coffee puck resisted less. In the cup, this high-pressure emulsified coffee oils with carbon dioxide, producing a thick, golden layer that Gaggia's early marketing termed Crema naturale. To achieve this, baristas physically pulled down a heavy metal handle to compress the spring. This hands-on motion gave rise to a brand new phrase in the late 1940s, pulling a shot. In rural eastern Washington, a German-built Probat roaster dating to approximately 1896 still fires up every week. This massive iron machine remains a daily working tool, roasting coffee over an open wood fire. While modern automated machines run on computer software, this historic survivor demands direct human control. Roasting with wood relies entirely on heat management, timing, and operator judgment. Without digital sensors, the process is guided by sight, sound, and smell, with the operator adjusting the air draft and firewood by hand to guide the coffee to a perfect finish. Once the roasted beans leave the heat, a new battle begins, the fight against oxygen. Historically, roasters turned to sealed metal cans and early vacuum methods to protect delicate, volatile aromas from staling. By drawing air out of the container, these early packaging designs aimed for a zero-oxygen environment to slow down oxidation during transport. This preservation interlude showed the constant quest to lock in freshness at its peak, but the true expression of those roasted beans still depended on how they were brewed, returning coffee makers to the post-war search for high-pressure extraction. As the post-war espresso market split between commercial bars and home kitchens, manufacturers adapted the physical lever format into smaller, specialized designs. La Pavoni pioneered this transition in 1961 with the Piccola, a compact direct lever machine that shrank cafe-style brewing to fit onto a kitchen counter. By relying on the user's manual pressure rather than a spring, it made the extraction entirely dependent on the barista's physical touch. In Switzerland, Olympia took a different approach with the Crema. Introduced in the 1960s, this heavy, small-scale machine utilized a dual-lever setup to offer precise manual control over the extraction speed. Meanwhile, Electra carved out a design identity in the 1970s and 1980s by housing its mechanical spring levers inside heavy brass, Art Nouveau bodies that celebrated classical Italian metalwork. Other historic manufacturers used the lever as a playground for technical experiments. Faima, La San Marco, Riviera, and Caravelle each built prototypes and limited runs, testing different spring tensions and piston diameters. Each of these designs shared a singular purpose, keeping the physical connection between the barista and the pressure profile alive, ensuring that even as the wider industry automated, the tactile art of pulling coffee remained intact. These machines split into two distinct mechanical paths. Direct lever designs required the barista to physically sustain the force, manually pulling the handle to drive water through the grounds. This made the operator the sole regulator of extraction pressure. Spring lever machines, by contrast, used the manual pull to compress a heavy internal coil. Once released, the stored mechanical energy drove the piston at a steady, predictable rate. But as the coffee industry expanded, the physical effort of the lever met the relentless push for commercial automation. Electric pumps began displacing manual groups, offering instantaneous pressure with the push of a button. For busy cafes, pump adoption became a matter of pure efficiency. It allowed faster operation, more predictable pressure, and easier staff training. High volume throughput and absolute consistency replaced theatrical performance, and by the early 1990s, pump-driven machines had established broad commercial dominance. Yet the hand pull did not vanish entirely. It survived through a dedicated culture of purists who valued what automation discarded. For these enthusiasts, the remaining appeal lay in the direct physical feedback, the visible mechanics of the extraction, and the quiet, tactile ritual of the pull. The choice became cultural, a way to preserve the hand-operated past. In 2016, Todd Miller co-founded Pull Espresso Machines, establishing a hardware counterpart to his work at Pull Cafe Coffee Roasters. Hand-assembled in the United States, these machines serve as a living continuation of traditional spring lever physics. The design relies on classic mechanical principles, combining imported Italian components with highly durable materials. At the core is a handmade copper boiler designed for rapid heat recovery. Directly bolted to this boiler is a heavy, solid brass group head. This direct group-to-boiler connection eliminates intermediate flexible hoses and maintains a stable thermal bridge, ensuring water temperature remains consistent right up to the moment of extraction. The exterior frame features walnut body panels joined by hand-cut dovetail joints, reflecting classic cabinet-making techniques. This woodwork matches the turned walnut portafilter handles, while the lever handle itself is finished with hand-stitched Italian leather. For home baristas and cafe owners, this combination of heavy metalwork and traditional joinery serves a functional purpose, absorbing the structural stress of compressing a high-force spring pull after pull. By relying on solid, non-synthetic materials, the machine delivers a natural pre-infusion and a declining pressure curve, proving that the basic mechanics established decades ago remain highly effective for modern specialty coffee. Instead of relying on automated, pre-programmed electronic cycles, this mechanical setup invites the barista to actively manage the brewing process. Natural pre-infusion occurs as water gently makes initial contact with the coffee bed under basic boiler pressure. Once the lever is released, the resistance of the internal spring creates a dynamic, gradually declining pressure pattern. This lever-driven profiling happens in real time, shifting with the physical resistance of the coffee puck itself. This visible cause and effect relationship offers a stark contrast to modern electronic push-button interfaces. While automated systems provide ease and speed, a purely mechanical design is not inherently superior. Rather, it offers a different relationship with the machine. The components are openly visible, making them easier to inspect, service, and maintain without proprietary digital diagnostics. For the home barista, this tactile loop translates to physical feedback, turning every shot into a lesson in grind size, water flow, and extraction resistance. In a commercial setting, this hands-on process shapes the identity of the cafe, fostering a working culture centered around skill and reliable, long-lasting equipment. For the specialty coffee enthusiast, the appeal lies in this physical connection, the ability to experiment, adapt, and find consistency through touch, weight, and motion. In an era of push-button automation, the manual lever remains a quiet rebellion. It demands our patience, presence, and touch. By choosing the physical pull over the digital screen, we preserve our connection to true craftsmanship. The perfect extraction isn't programmed, it is felt. Share your thoughts on this ritual in the comments below.